Rocky ستاوتنبرغ, known in the gaming world as Rocky No Hands.
Yeah, baby, chicken dinner.
The guy's been collecting Guinness World Records for playing video games with his mouth. As a teen, he was always picking fights. He was the kind of guy you didn't want to cross, because he'd mess you up. This guy was meant to be an athlete. He had everything in life. Captain of the hockey team, a union job, 2 to 3 girlfriends. It was great until he lost it.
911, what's your emergency?
I shouldn't have went out that night. I should have stayed home. That evening, I was hanging out with a girlfriend in my bedroom. She had to go home because her sister was there and she wanted to hang out with her sister. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna go to bed. So then she left, and then I called my buddy and was like, hey, where are we going tonight?
He snuck out of the house while his brother was sleeping.
I hopped in my work truck and I met him at the party with a bunch of friends. A kid was sleeping in the bedroom, and I kind of went in there. I was like, hey, we're not sleeping, we're having fun, we're partying, shoving him, waking him up, like, get up, get up. And we started wrestling around. Picked me up, and I got dropped on my head on the mattress, and I was just like, guys, I can't move. And then my buddy was like, hey, no, this is just spinal shock, you'll be all right, you'll be all right. And then after that, I really don't remember much.
His brother, Andrew, was woken up by his aunt who had just gotten the news. Andrew fucking loved his brother.
My Aunt Denise, shoving me, and she's upset crying. She tells me, your brother had broke his neck. Like, I'm thinking, as a brother, he's probably gonna make it through this. He's the toughest guy I know. He'll recover and everything will be fine. And this is just a hiccup in life.
But it wasn't. When Andrew got to the hospital, he was mad as hell and ready to beat up whoever did this to him. But seeing Rocky in bed, all plugged in and unconscious, was a fucking sobering sight.
He's got tubes in him. It's just really like a bad scene to see something like that. I just remember him asking at one point, like, it was asking me to pull the tube out or like to disconnect it. I just remember that being so traumatizing to see my hero giving up.
In 2nd grade, Andrew was bullied in the schoolyard in front of Rocky's classroom window. Rocky got up and left in the middle of his class. He sprinted across the playground and scissor-kicked 2 of the kids to protect his little brother. From that moment, Rocky was a god to Andrew, unbreakable.
Walking in a room and you just feel the weight to see his face. It was a broken version of the person I looked up to.
At home, Andrew was seeing Rocky give up on life. He couldn't take it anymore. So one night, he just had enough and snuck into Rocky's room.
I was crying when I walked in the room, and I'm just standing over him, and he was asleep. I don't know if he heard me or not, but I did whisper things to him, and I was telling him how much I loved him and everything he did for me. I just couldn't stop looking at him and picturing in my mind a better life for him. And I think at that moment, it changed everything for me. And I really focused on how can I help him like he helped me when I was a kid.
When they were kids, they used to play video games together every day. And Rocky was always the best. If he wasn't, he would grind day and night to be better than his brother. But now, all he did was watch TV.
There's gotta be something, bro, that you can do. Someone has been in your situation and someone has created something, I know it. And then we found the quad stick and literally that day ordered it. And this thing looked like a PC pipe, hot glued together, wires everywhere, it wasn't covered.
But Rocky didn't make it easy for Andrew. He was stubborn.
And I was just like, I don't want it because I'm not going to be good at it. And I don't want to lose all day long to you or anybody else. I broke down and I started crying. And I remember looking up at my brother, and then he got up and left the room. I kind of just felt like I let him down, to be honest with you. Now I'm not the big brother, you gotta be the big brother.
It wasn't just because he thought the idea of playing with his mouth was stupid. It was that he hated who he'd become, and he wanted out. Until Andrew's daughter was born.
When I would be at home just doing nothing, watching TV, little kids would be born, and we would be babysitting them, and then a baby growing up, and she would just come into my room every day and wake me up. She would climb on my bed, and feed me cookies and stuff. And she just, she's like the one person that doesn't look at me differently. And just like the rest of my family, she would probably do anything for me too, so I can't let her down. So then I was like, well, now I can't die. I gotta fight to live because there's someone in this world that needs me.
Somewhere in him, he found that peace that he used to have, that hero mentality that he had just started to spark back in his head.
Rocky gave his brother's idea a try, but he knew he was a long way from being any good. In the beginning, he sucked.
I remember just the buttons on the quad stick being really hard to use. I couldn't stand always being the worst guy on the team. And I just said, hey, I'm gonna practice this, no one's gonna be better than me. And I just practiced it over and over and be downstairs for hours by myself playing on it until I could beat him. And if I lost, I would be like, play me again, play me again, play me again until I beat him, because I just can't stand losing.
I would leave and he would still play, and he would train and he would practice, and I'd come back and he'd be better. Over time of constantly playing me and constantly playing each other, it started to get harder. And I was like, what the heck? He started scoring and it started getting close, and then a friend comes over and he's like watching us on the big screen, 60-inch, and he's like, hey, are you like letting him win? Like letting him beat you, letting him... And I'm like, no, bro, I'm trying to beat him.
Winning against his brother or his friends wasn't enough. Rocky was now all in and wanted to prove to the world he was the best. So he worked harder and harder every day. If this was going to be his life, he wanted to make sure it was epic.
Once I started streaming, and I would notice people would start trickling in, and then they would be like, whoa, what is this guy doing right now? How's he doing that? This is crazy. The rest of the community on Twitch would notice. A lot of the big streamers noticed. Look at this guy. Doctors told me he wouldn't live long. Told him to go home and watch TV and stay in bed, which is kind of crazy now that I have the 3 Guinness World Records. There's thousands of people that have messaged me or commented. I've saved their life. I've inspired them to do what they're doing. I've got a beautiful girlfriend. I got an awesome family. There's no other quadriplegic in the world that's, signed to a top esports team.
You can be literally at the bottom. There's always something to bring you out of that. And never give up. If you don't ever give up and think that it's all over, you always have to push forward for better. Nothing is impossible.
Aristotle said, "It is during our darkest moments that we must focus to see the light." Rocky dreamed of a different life. He didn't choose what happened to him. He might always think back to that night and wonder, what if? Even if the suffering can break the strongest of people, sometimes it can also make them.